We really are in the position in which we can do more than certainly any generation before us even thought was possible. So science fiction has nearly become reality.
I think once we develop new ways to have bodies or new types of bodies, we'll see a new type of human. And I think it's about time we had a new type of human.
We don't need evolution. We can do our own changes that we think as a humanity, as a society, are good in the future for future generations.
Was ist das Schlimmste, was passieren kann?
What's the worst that can happen? We won't achieve to live 100 years longer, but we only live 50 years longer? I think that's a great result.
To do it with the purpose of living 200 years or 300 years or forever, the question that comes is whether this should be done or should not be done.
Кто сказал, что...
Who says that we are not doing God's work here?
Seems like you will need new earpieces. These are already too small. It doesn't squeak? My name is Lena. I have a 4th-degree hearing loss. I wear an in-the-ear hearing aid so you can't see it at all if you look like this. I have quite a large family. My parents can't hear. My grandmother is deaf. My kids, my husband, and my dad are hard of hearing, but can hear a bit. Do you think he's angry or happy that he's asleep?
The tiger seems to be doing this.
We deaf do have certain difficulties when it comes to work because there is no communication. There are lots of barriers for the deaf, which aren't there for those who hear. Actually, there are no barriers for those who hear. What does that mean? In terms of how they find information or some connections, they get information, they discuss it. For example, my business events. I come there and everyone who can hear gets all information and I don't get any. I only get what is written on screens. I have a grade 3 hearing loss. I can't really explain how I hear, but I hear better than Lena. Imagine it like you go to another country and you don't know the language. You will hear, but you won't understand. And neither can I. But I hear the voices of my children. That is the most important for me.
With the invention of CRISPR-Cas, genetic engineering reached a completely new level. It is now available to so many researchers around the world.
Axolotls are endangered in the wild, but they're used in research all over the place. So the new ones, the new mutant axolotls, they've made them by CRISPR. And now you shine a light on it and it'll glow green.
We all develop from a single cell, which we call a zygote. That is when the egg cell merges with the spermatozoid. From the egg and the sperm, a full set of genes, both from the father and from the mother, go into the future organism.
If you want, for example, in the axolotl, you want all the actin in every single cell to glow. Then you have to do it really early on in the egg stage that's been fertilized. Then every single cell that derives from that original cell will have this gene.
If, in that first cell of an organism, both copies of genetic information carry a mutation, then a sick person will be born. And in that case, we'd have to repair that first cell of the organism so that all other cells will have high-quality genetic material. And if you try to find cases where you have this condition, you will actually find such families. And well, it is usually only one condition: hereditary hearing loss. Within 5, maybe 10 years from now, no child will have to be born sick anymore.
Hang your jacket here, and here are slippers. Basiliska, did you already say hello?
Good afternoon.
Hi there.
I was sure that we would have children who don't hear. I was born with a hearing loss, so I expected that my children would also not hear well. But when we applied for a disability status for my son, we did a genetic analysis, and they told me that if I had married a different man without this genetic predisposition, then we could have had hearing children. I had no idea that I should look for someone like that. I feel good with this man. That's what matters.
Well, that is more important than hearing. I have a question. Were you given a specific gene in the analysis?
Yes, we have that.
Which?
Connexin 26. They said that in 75% of cases it leads to severe hearing loss, so I am surprised that my children have relatively good hearing.
Well, unfortunately, with Connexin 26, hearing can continue to get worse until the age of 15. Today, we can correct this condition in the first cell from which a child develops. Now, imagine you had another child, and doctors would tell you the next child can 100% certainly have normal hearing. You can decide. Would you say, yes, I want it to have normal hearing, or no, I want them to be like everyone else in the family? Which would you choose?
Mom, I will tidy up a bit more.
Hands, guys, go wash your hands and face.
I'll wash it first.
It is such a thin line. You know, we have our own genetic code. That is our family heritage. If we change it, then all new generations will change. Where will that lead us?
К чему это приведет?
We've been sort of changing evolution, But with CRISPR, we're sort of at the point where we can do more than change. We're actually in charge of evolution.
I think we are at the last stages of human evolution being succumbed to the dictate of our genes.
Do you think in the future, genetically editing people will become normal? And how far will it develop? Because this only seems to be a first step.
Yes. Just a first step. Actually, I believe that we are not far from understanding how aging works. We might be quite close to understanding where we need to make changes to stop the aging process.
In my lab, we focus on something called epigenetic dysregulations. In the cells, you have your genome, that are all the genes that a cell has, with all the instructions for the cell to be functional. And then you have your epigenome. Epigenome is on top of the genome. It means everything that you have to control the genome. I give you an analogy with a computer. In a cell, the DNA will be like the hardware, and the epigenome will be like the software. In my lab, what we see is that young and old cells, they share the same hardware. The DNA is not that different, but within the program that they run, the epigenetic program they have is corrupted. So what we try to do there in the case of computers is to reprogram. We get basically every week young, middle-aged, and old cells from the skin of humans, and then we reprogram them. We think that in your body, all the cells have the capacity to be younger again. In order to translate the potential of reprogramming into humans, humans are not transgenic mice, so we are trying to find small molecules that can induce in humans the changes that the reprogramming factors can induce in mice.
I think it's possible. After maybe it's science fiction for other people, but because I have this scientific background, for me it's possible.
You want to increase the health span, the period where you are healthy. But then, like, looking for increasing health span, you could also increase the lifespan. But yeah, I really want benefit for health, and I'm not looking for extending lifespan. But it could be a side effect, and we could also increase lifespan. Why not?
If you ask normal people in the street, would you like to take this pill and live longer? The majority will tell you no, and they will say no because they don't want to be sick for a longer time. Now, when you formulate the question and you say, would you like to take this pill and be healthier and as a side effect live longer, then people will say, yeah, as long as I'm healthy, of course I will want to live longer. But I think psychologically, people are not ready.
People want to age, they will age and they will die. But the people who do not want to age will not age and will probably not die. So this is evolution at its best. People who don't want to evolve disappear. People who want to evolve continue.
So the issue of steering our own evolution through technology I think humans have a responsibility to not only nurture our species, but to protect it and do everything we can to maintain our species. If you're someone who wants to play Russian roulette with genetics and get whatever comes out, that's your choice as well. But I would prefer to know the genes of my offspring than to play Russian roulette with the life of some baby that I'm going to love later on in life.
And if, when Lena was born, when you were pregnant with her, and you were told that Lena will have impaired hearing, and they offered you such a technology, would you have done it?
No.
Why?
I would be scared.
Why?
I don't know. How would it all go? I think, what if it turned out to be a different child, not mine? These kinds of thoughts I would have.
Кошечка, то есть котенок. Почти уже. Сова.
Hearing is good, but I would think, is this Lena, my child? Or is it someone else's child? This year, the Society of the Deaf is 95 years old. It's a very big date for our society. 95 years ago, a group of active deaf people came together to defend their rights, jobs, and education. Look, when they go to these meetings, they communicate in sign language, and they feel like fish in the water. They cannot do that in every environment. My battery is dead now. I have to take it out. I lost this little piece, which helps to pull it out, and so...
People with diseases like hereditary hearing loss are in the same social circles, speaking to each other in their own language. That's where they, untypically, often get married amongst each other. They feel attraction for each other. And in this case, you have to say, unfortunately, because like that, they increase the number of families in which children with hearing loss will definitely be born. I cannot imagine a situation in which a child would complain that it was made healthier.
The doctor who sparked global outrage by claiming to produce the world's first genetically modified babies faced his peers for the first time at this conference in Hong Kong. Shenzhen-based He Jinkui used a gene editing technology called CRISPR to engineer twin girls whose DNA was designed to resist the HIV infection.
As you can see, there's a big demand to know exactly what you did.
He was grilled by bioethicists, regulatory experts, and fellow doctors.
There has been a failure of self-regulation by the scientific community.
As someone who's been involved in the genesis of the CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing technology, I feel deeply disturbed. It's inappropriate and something that we have been working hard to avoid.
Why you choose to cross this line? How did you convince the parents?
Yes. Currently, there are restrictions on the use of gene editing. That Chinese scientist was punished, but not severely. They gave him like 3 years. It's not like a real prison sentence, though. Something like house arrest or so, most likely.
The world has moved on to the stage for embryo gene editing. There will be someone somewhere who's doing this. If it's not me, it's someone else.
George Mallory, who might have been the first person to have gone up Everest, we don't know. About 2 years before he did his last climb up Everest, was asked, why do you want to climb up Everest? And his really famous quote was, because it's there. But to me, that's sort of an analogy that you need to ask yourself, do you really need to go up there just because it's there?
But there is also a limit in science, and I think we need to respect those limits.
I will just give a simple example. Like there is climate change, we know everything is going in the wrong way, no one is taking action.
So I don't think it would be good if people live 200 years because
it doesn't work like that. It wouldn't work. The old ice, it's melting.
Wird sich verändern.
The world will change whether we want it or not, and the pace of change will increase. Well, let's hypothetically assume we could live for 300 years. Firstly, I believe it'll boost sustainable thinking. For example, it'll create an extreme awareness of climate change. Because when the pole caps melt, not my grandchildren will have wet feet, but I will myself. And so I took a, for me, relatively big sum of 10 million euros and said, okay, I will support you.
There's a lot of funding coming from private, a lot of companies being created, a lot of rich, very wealthy individuals invest in aging because, at the end of the day, they can buy everything, but they cannot buy time.
This very extremely modern kind of medicine will be a true quantum leap in human evolution.
I think it's really human that we don't want to fix problems, so we will go somewhere else that is clean, make a mess, and then after find another way to escape this mess, this is very human.
What's the worst that could happen? We don't get to live hundreds of years, but only 50 healthy years longer? To me, that would be a great result.
What would be the best that we could achieve?
That we extend our healthy lifespan indefinitely. And then we fly to Mars. Out there is a whole universe that we can conquer, that we can discover. And that would be awesome.
We don't have to always carry on growing and getting better. It's like a child. A child grows up, becomes a teen, and after the teen years, you don't grow anymore. You're mature. And maybe we were at this sort of mature phase. Things are going pretty well. Do we need to increase everything and get better and better and use more energy? Maybe we should rather just be content with the way we are.
So you're 71 and you're just like in fantastic shape. Are you just genetically blessed?
I am absolutely not genetically blessed in all ways. I have things that are genetic.
This morning I'm going to Southwest Skin Specialist to see my cancer surgeon, Dr. Giancola, to have the squamous skin cancer, which is malignant, removed.
Okay, I'm ready for the surgery now. And I'll turn the camera off because Dr. Giancola does not want to be filmed. So I'm sedated in the cancerous area, and the Mohs surgery will start in a few minutes. I've had cancer many times. I've had skin cancer 4 times, and I'm a bit fed up with it, but that's a weakness. I have a propensity for cancer. Luckily, I still have my nose. The recovery was fine, and so here I am. I need to be cautious because the doctor told me I'll probably come back, and I may have to have my nose totally rebuilt at some point. So I think it's a moral responsibility to do everything we can to protect life. And in that regard, CRISPR, another type of gene therapies, would be imperative, necessary for disease.
You assume that deafness is a disease. Why do you think that our condition is a disease that needs to be cured? If we look at, let's say, a spinal muscular atrophy, then the patient suffers and needs medication. We don't need medication. We can move as we want. We have families. We have jobs.
That is a very philosophical question. Look, I do not think that there is a definitive answer to this. Is it necessary or is it not?
But we are already born. We can't decide.
Everybody needs to decide for themselves. We say parents decide for the unborn child.
But that is quite dangerous because then the genetic change is already part of the human nature. Now, let's say...
No, it's not like that. That isn't true. Look, when this mutation appears in people, the gene is broken. When we repair it, we don't interfere with nature. We just return it to the condition it originally was. Something is broken, and we fix it to be as before. So I don't agree that we are interfering with nature. If we made new genes, yes, but these are not new. We just fixed a mistake.
One of the first people to get into contact with the Chinese group was a stem cell clinic from Kuwait. And they really wanted to see, can we CRISPR humans and offer this as a service? And so, yeah, the rich people will be able to fly to Kuwait. And so every now and again, when they find a new gene, they'll get this genetic modification. They change their eye color or the strength of their eyes or something like that. The new species, Homo superior, will be a rich origin because they will be the only ones who will be able to do this.
Stellen wir uns mal vor, wir wären tatsächlich jetzt schon so weit, dass das alles...
Now, let's imagine we had already reached a point where it all works, and how much would I be willing to pay for constantly being as fit, looking and feeling like I was 30 years old? Let's say 10,000 euros per year only.
Und
now multiply 10,000 euros with 3 billion people, and you'll have 30 trillion euros revenue. Compare that to IT, internet, mobile, or all other big industries we know, we'll look dwarfish. Personally, I see the biggest industry of all times.
So, if you were planning another child, after everything, a straight question. If doctors told you that it works 100% and it is 100% safe, you can make them here, how would you decide?
I would not do it. I wouldn't, because in my own experience looking at my children who grow up well, my son is an excellent student. My daughter learns well and goes to a regular school now to learn with children who can hear. I have hearing impaired children, and I am very happy to have them. I can't imagine having different children.
So, in conclusion, you don't consider hearing to be something that would add to your children's lives. It makes no difference. The children hear or they don't hear. You would consider it an equivalent state.
Yes, yes.
Well,
if you do it, it probably would be a breakthrough in genetics and maybe in history. But I spoke to many deaf parents and all said no. Why would we do that? We are normal. They all said the same. We are normal.
Paradox.
I think that there's something deeply wrong with accepting disease and illnesses and death as a way of life. I'm 71 and a half. 80, not too far away. I noticed that many of my chronological age group talk about, oh, I'm so old or we're I prefer not to. And I'm taking the precautions about it. I will do everything possible for plan A, which of course is have my blood work and tests and take whatever medications I need per illness or disease. But I also want another plan A, not a plan B. And that other secondary insurance, if you will, is cryonics. Within these doers, for here examples, a young girl, a child who had brain cancer. The doers are filled with liquid nitrogen. The liquid nitrogen is constantly tested and kept at a certain degree, and that's monitored 24/7. If there's any problem with electricity, there's a backup system. And all the doers contain either neural patients or whole body patients. The neural patients are head only or brain. The whole body patients have the whole entire body, so it includes the brain, the central nervous system, and the peripheral nervous system. But that's an individual choice. For myself, I'm a neural patient, so I will be a neurosuspendee. Oh, and this doer right here is my dog, Oscar. Oscar lived to almost 15 years old. He was a large black golden doodle, and we loved him so much. But he got valley fever, which in dogs is deadly, so there was no resolve for it. And he's a neural patient, and so you might say, what about his body? But we'll grow a new body for him.
Well, I think it is just a search question. Because if there are hundreds of such families, and it seems to me that it's not 10 or 50, there are rather 500. So, with so many, there should be all kind of different opinions. There should be people saying, yes, okay, we think it's good.
100 years from now, I think that we will not be a binary being and have maybe a core body, like a bio body, in this material physical world, but will also upload into virtual worlds and maybe coexist across platforms. I think people will get to a point where they've done everything within reason and within law to slow down aging, to live longer, healthier lives. They can't go any further. And that's sort of the point where you would rather opt to have a fully engineered body than to die.
The methods that we use in the laboratory today are most likely just an element of human evolution. Evolution allowed us to develop such technologies and is now using them.
So these boundaries of how far is too far, I think, become nebulous because the only other option is disease and death.
So this is evolution at its best. People who don't want to evolve, they will die. But the people who want to evolve continue.